Cata 50, boys!
Let's go, GG.
It's done! You've reached the max level for this dungeon.
Not only was he the first player to reach Catacombs 50, he was also the first player to reach 1 billion Catacombs XP. But how exactly did he make it this far, and where did his journey begin? In this video, we'll be taking a look at the story of DeathStreeks. And really quickly, I want to mention that all this information was given to me directly from DeathStreeks, so this is all pretty accurate. When Dungeons was finally released after nearly a year of waiting, DeathStreeks, although he enjoyed playing Dungeons, did not do runs very often. At the time, he had other goals in mind. He was going for 50 skill average. Prior to the release of Dungeons, that was the main goal for every endgame player. No one had even imagined going for Catacombs 50 at the time due to Floor 3 only giving 350 XP per run. But only around 2 months after the release of Dungeons, he had achieved skill average 50 and started grinding Catacombs levels. Shortly after he began his Catacombs grind, Floor 6 was released. Granting roughly 4000 XP per run, it allowed players to level up their Catacombs levels much quicker than previously. And about 6 weeks later, Floor 7 was finally released. However, although this would speed up DeathStreeks and everyone else's grind to Catacombs 50, this was also a big letdown. You see, up until this point, Floor 7, 8, 9, and 10 were shown as up-and-coming floors. However, with the release of Dungeons, they announced they would be cancelling all of the other upcoming floors. This was very disappointing for a lot of top players. As far as the community was aware, this would be the max XP gain for the foreseeable future. The only other hope being Master Mode, which the admins hadn't even given an estimated release date. Regardless, DeathStreeks continued his grind. When he started running Floor 7, he was at Catacombs 32, but he soon started making massive progress. With Floor 7 giving around 150,000 XP an hour, DeathStreeks and his team would gain anywhere from 2 to 2.2 million XP per day. This is where his journey to Catacombs 50 began. DeathStreeks was aware of the amount of time it would take to reach this goal, but he was fully prepared to get Catacombs 50 just off Floor 7. However, he was not the only player who had these intentions. A player and YouTuber named Egom made his goals known to the community. And this was where the race to Catacombs 50 began. Egom was first place in Catacombs XP for weeks on end, however DeathStreeks was gaining double his XP per day due to Egom being in school. However, DeathStreeks was still a decent amount of XP away from first place. He had a lot of catching up to do. And after weeks of grinding, DeathStreeks briefly took the number 1 Catacombs position over Egom. But that would soon change. Luckily for Egom, he got a break from school and started playing over 16 hours per day. Although DeathStreeks was also playing roughly 13 to 14 hours a day at the time, it was not enough. Egom had beaten him to Catacombs 40. But the race was not over yet. In fact, it had only just started. Reaching Catacombs 40, although a great achievement, is only 10% of the way to 50. Regardless, they continued grinding. Shortly after Egom, DeathStreeks would get Catacombs 40 as well. He knew he could beat Egom by getting faster runs and playing more consistently. Every day for weeks on end, both Egom and DeathStreeks grinded Floor 7. And suddenly, in the middle of their grind, the long-awaited Master Mode was released. This changed everything for their Cata 50 grind. At this point, DeathStreeks had quite a bit of a lead on Egom already being Catacombs 46, while Egom was still a level behind. Things were looking good for DeathStreeks. Because of how much faster Master Mode runs were and how much more XP they gave, instead of making 220,000 XP an hour from Floor 7, he started making 1.1 million XP an hour, which allowed him and his team to get upwards of 16 million XP per day off of Master Mode Floor 5. And it would only get better from there. When Master Mode Floor 6 was released, a new buff to Catacombs XP came with it. Basically, depending on how many completions of that floor you had, you would get an increased amount of XP per run. This practically buffed the XP gain by 50%. Because of this, instead of getting 15 to 16 million XP a day, DeathStreeks could easily get upwards of 20 million XP per day. But it didn't stop there. Remember the whole Dante situation where Technoblade became rare? Well, if you didn't know already, that 50% skill XP boost applied to dungeons. DeathStreeks and his team wouldn't miss out on this opportunity and started playing an average of 18 hours per day. Of course, this only lasted for around a week, but they continued playing at this rate. And remember the race to Cata 50 with Egom? Well, that was still going on, but DeathStreeks had quite a bit of a lead. And only a couple weeks after Technoblade being mayor, on April 27th, DeathStreeks started a stream where we would finally finish his nearly 1-year journey of getting Catacombs 50. And 2 days later, egom and 15H would be the second and third player to get Catacombs 50. DeathStreeks had won the race, but he wasn't finished yet. Most people would think after reaching such an achievement, you would take a break or move on to something else, but DeathStreeks had other plans. He moved on to Master Mode Floor 6 and began going for 1 billion Catacombs XP, which was nearly double Cata 50. Although he started playing more casually, which is 6 hours a day for him, he would eventually reach 1 billion Catacombs XP. As of right now, he still grinds Catacombs XP as he is trying to get all class levels to 50. This will take him another few months to achieve, but I'm sure he'll be the first to reach it. But anyways, subscribe to DeathStreeks, and me if you want. And thank you all for watching.